I want to do one thing before we jump into the message today, and that is to give you just a little bit of an update on HomeBaseOne. Who has heard of HomeBaseOne? Anybody here heard of HomeBaseOne? Good. This is our little project that we believe God is leading us into to raise money for a permanent facility. It's faith for a permanent facility. And I just wanted to give us a quick update, a reminder what this is, and a quick update on where we're at. Really, we feel God saying to us that we need to look for a more permanent home than Danes Court Primary. And I have to always say this, that we don't need a permanent building to do what God has called us to do, right? The Church of Jesus expanded across the continents into most nations in the world before it actually owned a building. Because this is the power of relational discipleship. When we share what's inside of us with those around us, the world starts to change. So it's not that we feel like we have to have a building, but we do feel like God is leading us to have a building to do more. And not just to have a home for the church, but to have a base for mission. Mission to Cardiff, mission to Wales, and mission to the nations. It's a space for us to reach the nation and the nations from. And we really feel this is what the Spirit is saying. So a home because we want a home for the church, a base because it's a base to do mission from, and one because it's probably the first of a few. And just to be clear, what we believe God is calling us, young, new church, we celebrated 2 years in February, is not to try and buy a building at this stage, but to try and lease a space. It's like a halfway house. It's an interim. To buy, some of you might know this, you need to get a mortgage, and that's all okay, but we probably need to raise £300,000 or £400,000 as a deposit for a mortgage to buy something suitable. Because it's not the same as residential. You need a much bigger deposit when you buy commercial. So we feel leasing, where you're actually permanently renting a space, is right for where we're at. It's the next step. Where we're currently paying maybe £1,000 a month here at Danes Court, we're looking at paying $2,000 to $3,000 on a lease. Okay? So we need faith to fund this permanent facility, because it's a big step up for us. And so the goal is to raise £50,000. And some of you are thinking, why 50? What are we going to do with £50,000? Is that too much? Is that not enough? It's basically to do two things. Number one, to secure a lease, because we're looking at paying anywhere between £2,000 and £5,000 a month on rent. That's without business rates, okay, which is like council tax on a commercial property, which is an additional fee, plus bills, like water, gas, that sort of thing, right? So we're looking at probably $2,000 to $4,000 a month. And if we can save some of that in advance and pay that 6, 8, 10 months from the beginning, that will give us breathing room to grow into that space. So that makes sense? That's the one side. The other side is to make it fit for purpose. Because we could move into a building that's fantastic, so ready to go, but the rent will be very high. So we'll pay a lot more rent, but not so much to get it fit for purpose. Or we can move into a derelict warehouse unit somewhere that's cheap to rent. We don't need to spend much on leasing it, but it's a lot to insulate and to get it ready, build stuff into it, right? Does that make sense? So the 50,000 will scale depending on the space that God leads us to. And I'm here to report to you today that it looks like we've raised 50% to date of HomeBaseOne. That's incredible, right? We've got £14,000 in actual giving. We've got another 11,000 in pledges. A lot of people have pledged to pay monthly over the next year. And let me just remind you, all of us can be a part of it like this. If you want to contribute £500 to HomeBaseOne over the next year, that's £35 a month with gift aid. Will add up to 500 over the next year. And this really is what we're doing. I'm trusting for big donors. Just this week, I submitted an application for £10,000 to a big donor here in the UK. But it's also on the other side of the scale for all of us to add what we have. Right? And if we consider ourselves a member here, whether that's giving £5 a month or £500 a month, we can all be a part of this, because this is our project. Amen? So this is where we're at, and our faith is, just the last thing on this, that in the first quarter of the next calendar year, January to March, we want to move into a different space. That's what we're trusting God for. We're working here. Dane's Court's been so welcoming and so good to us, but we just feel that that will be a good time for the next season. If you have any questions about that, please do speak to me. I'd love to tell you more about that, but that's the basic information, and hopefully that's helpful.